So my brother and I, we struggled through. I sold newspapers, Saturday Evening Post for a nickel. I got 2 cents. A newspaper was 3 cents. I got half a cent. I got a cent for every 2 papers I sold. I mean, that's what we did. But you could buy stuff for what you had. You could always buy something. You got something for your money, you know. And and when we got to be teens, you know, we would go out to the lake and swim. We had a gang of us that get together in an old car, and we'd go out to the lake, my grandma's cottage. She'd let us use the cottage, and we had a beautiful 90-foot drop-off, sand beach, you know, sand waiting, then you drop down. It was a crystal clear, loaded with pike, loaded with bass, loaded with walleye pike, and perch and crappies. We lived on that stuff. Today, I love fish.
You do?
I love fish. I do. I love seafood. Yeah. Well, anyway, we were healthy kids. It's strange, isn't it? We didn't have a lot of stuff kids have today, but we were healthier. We went through a lot. We had all the diseases, even before they had all the shots. And it was strange, you know, we used to walk home from school and we'd notice a black Ford coupe. Well, when you saw a black Ford coupe, that was a nurse. And if it was in front of your house, she was in there waiting to give us shots.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man, we want to skip and get out of there. But we know we had to go in there. So in we go. And she's, here they are. So my brother would come in. I had 2 sisters, all of us. Roll your sleeve up. I don't want that shot. Oh, my God. We you know, in those days, we were afraid of all that stuff. Well, they gave us shots. And then she left, and well, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, our arms were sore, but we went through all of that. We didn't have any particular thing to keep the pain away. But we were healthy kids. We didn't see the doctor a lot. We did have trouble with our teeth. And my mother, she was a great cook and a great baker. She had a bakery during the Depression. I can remember in Detroit, on the west side, we needed a place to live, so there was a store, and in the back there was everything you needed. It was everything to live with, but in the front it was sort of like you could put they had a couple of counters in there so you could put a bakery in, and we put a big shade, a drape across that. We lived behind that. That's how we lived, and. She would sell bakery and sell cakes. The only problem is my dad would tap the till. He'd open the till up and take money and go out. He'd be drinking.
Oh, man.
He just irresponsible. And us boys, we worked. When I was 10 years old, I will never forget it. My 2 buddies were coming down the sidewalk, and one of their dads worked for the Detroit City Railway. He always had a job. Always. Streetcars, buses, always had a job. So he always had money in his pocket. And he shared. We all shared. And so they came by and they said, hey, Don, you want to go to the movie with us Saturday? And I said, I haven't got any money. He said, all you need is a dime. Get in. I said, I'd have a dime. Wait a minute, maybe I'll ask my ma. Things were a little bit better then. I walked in, I'll never forget. Ma, can I have a dime? She said, what do you want a dime for? I want to go see a movie. Ken Maynard, favorite cowboy, is going to be on. She said, you want a dime? I said, yes, ma'am. Go earn it. I don't have it. I don't know what we're going to have for supper, but we'll have something. She always managed to have something. And you know, she said that to me. And I went out, and my 2 buddies says, I will each give you a nickel. Let's go. And I never forgot what she said. So I went to work. After school, I did everything I could. I shoveled snow in front of stores. I'd ask them if I could clean them. They'd give me 35, 40 cents like that, maybe 50 cents, 25. And I always had money in my pocket. And you always have friends when you have money in your pocket. All your buddies come around.
You learned that at a young age, huh,
Oh,
Don?
yeah. So I became quite independent like that. I've worked since I was 10 years old. And I'm paying a little bit for it right now, but the ministry, that was mental stress, you know. But the other work I did, it was decorating. I climbed ladders, hung wallpaper, refinished wood, antique furniture. I did it all in the line of decorating or refurbishing. And that was hard work. And now my legs are paying for it. I believe that's what it is.
Really?
Yeah, because I never injured my legs. Yeah, but they say you'll still pay a price. I remember coming home from the war. I sat in the front room. My dad was reading the paper, and I says, "You know, Dad, I'm really lucky." He said, "Why?" I said, "I went through 4 years of war, and I came home. There's not a thing wrong with me." He said, "Give it a little time yet." He was in the First World War. He said, "When you get older, you're going to find out you're going to pay."
What did your dad do in the First World War?
In the First World, he was in the Marines. He was in the Marine Corps at PI, Paris Island. I was San Diego, Hollywood. And they got that swine flu swept in there and killed a lot of them.
Really?
They didn't have anything to take for it. And he got it. And he did have a problem continuously. Didn't keep him from working, but it would hit him every now and then. You'd come back on him. But a lot of them died, so he couldn't go aboard ship. They wouldn't put him on a ship. So they just let him do whatever they could keep him busy doing, you know. Well, the war ended. We only fought in it for a year. It ended. Well, he came home and went back to roughin' and doing that type of work. But those fellows, his brother worked with him, and both of them would go out and get drunk and never work on the job. It was irresponsible. Their father was no good. I met my grandpa once or twice. Heavy drinker. It was passed on down the line. You know, during the Great Depression, people drank. They made their own stuff because, you know, it was a prohibition was on. In below the cottage, my brother and I would open up the doors and we'd crawl on. You know, you don't know what's under those houses. That's where they threw everything. They stuffed everything under the houses. So we opened the trap doors out and we crawled in there. We had rattlesnakes there in Michigan and Detroit, outside of the city. And they're short rattlesnakes, so we have to be very careful. I found these big, like a jack. And it had a crank handle. And I thought, what is this thing? So I took it out and I brought it around the house. And my mother was in there. He was gone. I said, "Mom, where did you get that?" I said, "Under the porch. You put that back in there. You don't need to know what that is." Well, they capped bottles with it. They made their own booze, wine, and they made liquor.
What kind of
That's
liquor?
what was going on.
What kind of liquor?
I have no idea, but I mean,
So Prohibition
fire,
was...
water, whatever. But it ain't like you get over here.
Yeah. So Prohibition was going on at that
Oh,
time.
Prohibition was going on. Then Roosevelt got in. And Roosevelt said to his vice president, "I feel like a glass of beer." And boom, that opened it up. And believe it or not, they didn't drink as much when the Prohibition was lifted.
No kidding.
You know, you tell a person you can't do that, he's going to try and do it.
Yeah.
We're all like that. We can't. There was a lady of ours. She was a wealthy woman, and when I was in the ministry, she helped us out a lot. I mean, she practically bought a house from me. I mean, she was just such a wonderful old bohemian woman. She had a lot of money, and she shared. And you know, we'd be painting in the parsonage, painting everything up. And she'd come in, she says, "How are you fellows doing?" And I says, "Do you want one to look at, Mary? Don't touch it because it's wet." And she'd go to the wall. Oh. Tell them not to do it and they'll do it. Especially children. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I told you enough about growing up as a child.